Welcome back for another episode of Cody Builds. We have been thrashing away on Elsworth, and I finally got the chance to enjoy all of that hard work I put in over the last 2 years in Cruise Elsworth, and you guys saw that last week. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. All that thrashing has led to a very disastrous situation here in the shop. And to be honest, that's going back all the way to probably my birthday, July 4th, to now in mid-October, mid to late October. It has been one of the hardest thrashes I've done on a vehicle, on a project. We're talking multiple late nights every week, just really putting the hours in, and the garage is a disaster. So this week, we're going to take a little bit of a breather, and I'm going to take some time to get the shop organized. We're going to rearrange some things. After 2 years of working, I've kind of figured out what works and what doesn't work in this space. And we're going to do some things to help alleviate some of the challenges that I've been facing in here. And then at the end of this episode, we're going to talk about what is coming next, because I've gotten that question a lot, and we do have a lot coming up on this channel, and I don't want you guys to think that the videos are going to stop now that Elsworth is done. I'm going to go ahead and get into it. I'm going to start getting tools put away. I've got some shelving units to put up. We're going to rearrange this fab station that I had here that just really is completely unworkable behind the whiteboard here. We're going to rearrange all of this tonight and get some of this stuff put away, because it is a disaster in here. And when the truck's parked where it's supposed to be parked, I really can't get much of anything done. So I'm going to get to work, and we're going to get this place cleaned up. What a huge difference a little bit of organization makes. Spent the afternoon here. Threw up this Husky shelf from Home Depot. It's a 10,000 pound shelf. I think it's about 77 wide. We've got all this storage now for our small parts. All of our electrical components, small screws and nuts and all that stuff was really hard to store. I had little tiny plastic boxes all over the shop, and when you needed one, you couldn't find one. So I moved to these Harbor Freight style parts boxes, $9 a piece, a really nice price. And I like having this kind of shelf here that's dedicated to all those small parts. Now I do need to go through and label everything. I've got a couple boxes up top that just have extra parts, spare parts from Elsworth. And then obviously getting to store the fridge, getting the ultrasonic cleaner off the bench, having a parts landing spot. So now I'm going to be able to put all of my incoming parts for projects in this location and in that box up there and potentially up top. I don't really need those things up there. I'm just throw those last couple things up there to help clear some space on the benches. I set the shelf in a way that I could get my jacks underneath, which is great for storage wise. Otherwise they stick out in the middle of the garage. I was able to move my press over here right next to the shelf with my creepers, so those aren't buried on the other side of the truck when I need them. And then I made one modification to my storage cart here to be able to store my bead roller in the same length as the cart is, so I don't have that sticking way out side to side. This workstation is going to be huge. It's now usable. I have all this space down in front of it. Like normally that welding table will roll right in front of this, but now to be able to use the bandsaw, the belt sander, the drill press, I've got one plug run on the backside with all those splits, so I don't have to plug and unplug those. I don't have all the dead space around the little tiny table that I had before. So we've got some room to work up here, which is nice. We didn't have that before. A spot to store my chop saw, just some extra stuff, including the fire extinguisher up there. So then moving on down, I did purchase these TIG rods, storage containers. They actually fit really great between the handle and the little storage shelf. And actually the handle kind of slots into these rounded portions, and they are very firm in there. So that's actually really nice. Got that stored there. I have a little bit of cleanup to do left on the bench, but look how much space I've gained back on my bench. So we can actually do work on the workbench. That's a novel idea, right? So with that, the garage is clean and ready for our next project. Now, that's a question I've been getting frequently. What is the next project? Will there be a next project? What are we doing next? We've grown this nice little community here, about 10,500 subscribers. I don't intend to stop now. So we are going to continue on with build projects. I've got 3 projects lined up, okay? The next 2 are not mine, but we're going to be featuring them on this channel. And we're going to be helping out my buddy Jeff and my dad. So for Jeff, we're going to be working on his 1973 Charger. You guys, if you've been around for a long time, you've seen that Charger. I featured it way back in the first year that we were filming. It has collision damage. It's got rust damage. It's really, really rough. So my goal for that project is to help Jeff get most of the rust under control, get the collision damage straightened out. We've got to put in a new B-pillar, new rocker, all new floor, and it is a Mopar product, so it is a unibody setup. So for that, we are going to have to build a frame jig. Okay, so we're going to build a frame jig. I'll show you guys how I'm going to go about doing that. That'll be sometime in November. Probably end of November for you guys. For me, it'll be mid-November or so. So we've got to build a frame jig. So around Thanksgiving, I'm going to be going home for a week. When I'm down there, we're going to be working on Dad's Orange International. He got to drive that thing this summer. Absolutely loved driving it, but has some major problems that we need to resolve. One being the braking system. So we did 4-corner brake rebuild on that truck. However, the master cylinder and the booster are giving up the ghost, and those parts are basically unobtainium. We can get a master cylinder. The booster, it's the only thing you can really do is take the old one in and have it rebuilt, send it into a number of different locations and have it rebuilt. But it's pretty darn rusty. So I'm thinking we're gonna have to do something like we did with Elsworth. It won't be a Hydro Boost system, but we are gonna put a custom booster and master cylinder in that truck and run whatever brake lines we need to run to make that happen. In addition to the brake system, That thing leaks oil like a sieve. So we are actually going to do an engine out on that truck. We're going to pull the 392 at Thanksgiving. I'm going to bring it back to my shop, and we are going to do a tear down. We're not going to rebuild the engine. The engine runs great. It's got good compression. All we're going to do is a reseal. We're going to tear it down, degrease it, reseal, repaint all the brackets, everything on that engine, get it dialed, get the exhaust manifold bolts out of it, which I'm sure is going to be a pain in the butt. But get that thing dialed so that we can get it back in the truck. And then when that goes back in, we're going to be doing new exhaust. At the moment, the plan is to do a Holley EFI system on that truck as well. Dad went for a ride in Elsworth. He wants a trouble-free truck. He doesn't want to be messing with tuning a carb. He doesn't want to mess with any of that stuff. We're not going to EFI swap everything on this channel. But after his experience with my truck and some of the information that I gave to him, he thinks he wants to go with an EFI system on that truck. So that's going to be a little bit unique because it's a dual tank system. So we're going to have some special valves as for fuel returns and all that kind of stuff. So it's going to be really neat. Once we get all those bugs ironed out with the driveline and the braking system, eventually we are going to be doing a lot of bed rust repair in that truck. It needs some help big time. And we're going to be doing some custom panels in that thing and completely rebuilding the inner panels of the bed and the floor and the tailgate structure. All that's going to have to be reworked, but that's probably for next winter, so we'll see. I anticipate that those two projects are going to probably take me into the summer, potentially fall of next year. And in the meantime, we'll be working on other things here and there, but those are going to be the two main projects. Once those are done, the next project for me and for my wife is that 1973 International that we've been calling Sweet Pea. So I need your guys' input on this because I know a few things that we're going to do with that truck. My wife wants to drive it. She wants to be able to use it for gardening and all kinds of stuff. But I had plans for that truck before any of that came up. So I was initially going to do a cheap DIY airbag system on that truck, see how we could slam it for as cheap as possible. I was even considering doing air ride on the straight axle that's in there. However, if there's the potential that my wife even remotely is interested in this truck and wants to drive it, it's got to be safe for her. So it's getting four-wheel disc brakes. It's still going to be on air ride. That was my one stipulation. I told her you're going to have the coolest garden truck around because I personally want to do an airbag system on a truck. I've never done one. That truck was basically free for me, so it's kind of the perfect project for that. We can experiment on it. We can play around with it. Now that said, there's where I need your help. Comment down below what you would like to see me do with this truck. I have a couple options. One, cheapest air ride system possible. I'm gonna just tell you guys, I'm really not leaning that way because I'm gonna be putting my wife in this truck. So the other option, the second option that I was looking at was a Crown Vic front end, okay, and they make air ride parts for that, and then a custom 4-link in the back, maybe a custom back half of the truck because the truck's a little flaky in the back. It's pretty darn good under the cab all the way up through the front, but it's pretty crusty on the back half of the truck. Option number 3, and this is where I'm currently leaning, and I could be in way over my head on this deal, but I have always wanted to build my own custom chassis, and I wanted to learn CAD, and I've wanted to build my own air suspension. So what I'm considering, this is where I'm really leaning right now, but you guys got to tell me if this is something you'd even be interested in. I am leaning towards building a full-blown custom chassis for that international pickup truck. Now, it is rusty, it is crusty. We are going to fix every ounce of structural rust in that thing because if I'm putting my wife in it, I need to know that that truck's going to be safe. I would really like to build her a rigid chassis platform that's not going to flex. It's going to be very drivable, very comfortable to drive. We're going to put a rack and pinion in it, and then potentially the air ride setup on it. In addition to that, the last kind of component to this is originally I wanted to stick with the International 345 and put a Holley EFI on it and all that. Again, that was before my wife had an interest, and so now that if I decide to go the route of a full-blown chassis, I'm pretty sure I want to do an LS swap. Now, I know that's going to go over like a fart in the wind probably because there's so many LS swaps out there, but what I want this thing to be is safe, reliable, and a really good cruiser. The Elsworth here, it is a really, really solid truck, and I wouldn't be personally scared to drive this thing anywhere. Even now, even just after 200 miles of testing, I would take this thing 1,000 miles from home, I think. But not the most comfortable thing in the world. With the coilover suspension, it's pretty rigid. It is a smooth ride, it's nice, but it can be a little bit jarring, and it's loud, and you smell like fuel because it's got the old 390 in there still, and it's not super fuel efficient. I think we're getting about 9.5 to 10 miles per gallon. If I'm gonna have this truck, and this truck is gonna be doing burnouts and donuts and drag and drives potentially, and maybe autocrossing, I'd really like to have something that we can cruise in. Like, I wouldn't be afraid to take literally anywhere in the country. So that is why I'm leaning towards full-blown custom chassis, LS swap, another big build on the channel. And that would be for me and my wife. So let me know what you guys think. That's where I'm leaning. Now, of course, Jeff's got his Can-Am. We're going to be doing some work on that. My nephew's got an Impala. I'd still like to help him out with a few things. So we're going to have other little side projects sprinkled in. And of course, we've got Elsworth here, and this truck is by no means complete. So we've got a lot of work left we've got to do on Elsworth, including basically rebuilding the doors with new seals, some rust repair on those, still fine-tuning the suspension, working through any issues that come up along the way. And ooh, spoiler alert, I have an 8-foot topper that I'm going to cut down, and we're going to fit to this little short bed at some point in time. So all of that is to come on the channel, and so much more, guys. So I really appreciate all you guys tuning in. As you're watching this, I am gone on vacation right now. It's a much needed time away. When I get back, I'm not even sure what we're going to get into next here. But when I get back, we're going to get right back out in the shop and get right back to it. And likely we'll be working towards building that chassis jig, and you know, having a chassis jig already in the shop. Once that charger's done, that's kind of why I'm leaning towards building my own chassis. So let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys for watching. As always, if you don't work on your projects, they will not work on themselves. Get out in the garage, get building, and I'll see you on the next episode of Cody Builds.